I had a supervisor who called me a free thinker. Although I believe she meant it as a criticism, I also believe she secretly admired me for it. Just a little. It was the first time anyone ever demonstrated they truly understood me from my actions alone. Free thinking and nonconformity is still much too often perceived by the left and the right as something evil or insane. But I'll tell you what, the older I get, the more absurd the concept of ownership of the planet becomes. No one owns the planet. This planet belongs to you and me just as much as anyone else. No one owns the means to your survival. No one can restrict your access to the means of your own survival. Through my life experiment, I discovered people have much more in common than they have differences. Most of us wish others no harm or animosity. We want to be left alone to pursue our own choices in life. We're unhappy with the corrupt state of the world. We despise the elite, yet we wish to emulate them. And we're suspicious of authority, yet for some reason we do whatever that authority tells us to do. Furthermore, we're unable to recognize these commonalities amongst ourselves. Recognizing these commonalities was the first step towards my epiphany. This was my further epiphany process. 1. I discovered the elite had complete control over my everyday existence. And in order to continue to exist every day, the elite forced me to harm others. 2. The left and the right are both led by predators and fascists, wanting to dominate, not peacefully coexist. 3. I realized the only people who aren't led by fascists are those who aren't led at all. 4. That both the left and the right, Comlin, are disenchanted with their respective fascist leadership. 5. Realizing we disenchanted had more in common with each other than our respective ideologies would allow. 6. Realizing there are predatory and non-predatory people on both sides. 7. Then realizing, why can't we non-predators be united as one against the predators? 8. Then combining other non-predatory philosophies into one distinct, specific, and unifying ideology and philosophy. 9. Then the word equalism was chosen, because it's not actually a word listed in any English dictionary yet. 10. Then identifying the concepts of predonomics, the polyangle, the Comlin, and econodynamics. And by mixing all of these realizations together, equalism was born. In 2005, I wrote a book called Life Experiment: The Foundations and Primary Principles of Equalism. And all my videos have been based upon that book. In that book, this chapter was called Psychological Syndromes as Social Phenomena. In this chapter, I reveal how predonomic society is actually enforced through the infliction and exploitation of mental illness. Not only are the predonomic elite insane, but those who follow their demands and enforce their will are also insane. This reality is supported by the very same psychological definitions the elite themselves created. One predominant trait is that the elite manipulate through the use of misinformation to misrepresent concepts and ideas that may challenge elitist authority. If I had the misconception of socialism and communism, as many conservatives have, I'd be afraid of it too. If I had the misconception of free marketism, as many on the left have, I'd be afraid of that as well. The elite are purposely misrepresenting these ideas to their respective supporters to keep us divided. Socialism has never been about huge governmental bureaucracies, government intrusions into personal lives, and government ownership of anything. And free marketism has never been about huge business bureaucracies, corporate intrusions into personal lives, and the massive accumulations of personal wealth. These misconceptions have been created and perpetuated by the elite. They want us to fear what will free us from them. We don't need more government welfare programs that benefit the elite and only serve to create inflation and subsequent perpetual common dependence on elitist government. That's econodynamics, and it serves only the elite. What we need is freedom from the corrupt rule of an apathetic, mentally ill, sociopathic elite. An entire social class that suffers from megalomania and delusions of grandeur. But we common suffer from a hero hypnosis, a celebrity worship so intense, the elite have got us believing that abstractions have power and authority over us. You allow yourselves to be ruled by abstractions. Churches, synagogues, mosques, businesses, corporations, and governments are all abstractions. They don't really exist. You say, what? Churches are real. I'm pointing to one right now. Well, no, you're not. I don't know what you're pointing at, but it's probably a building. The building is real. The church is an abstraction. These entities are actually just people. A church, any business, and all governments are just people. The main reason government and business are so predatory is because the employees of government and business, the people who actually make these entities function, are too quick to do what they're told. If people would stop making these predominant entities function, they wouldn't function. When the elite tell you this is a business and you must conform to it, that isn't reality. That business doesn't really exist. Any business is just people. And many businesses aren't even people. They're just paper. Same for government. Much of the government is just paper. Words written on paper. And what good is a set of abstractions written on pieces of paper if no one will enforce those abstractions? Abstractions can't enforce themselves. So the elite has set up an entire facade of illusions, and they call it society. They call it civilization. And what it really is is a system of enforcers disguised as abstractions to enforce your compliance to the elitist agenda. Money itself is an abstraction. It has no real value. It's just a little piece of paper with ink on it. Gold isn't an abstraction, but its value is. The only reason both money and gold have any perceived value is because the people who stole the most of them say they do. Gold has monetary value only because the elite possess most of the world's gold and they say it has value. When the cashless society kicks in, paper money will be worthless, and those little digitized numerations on your computer will then have the value that paper money used to have. And those are abstractions too. Think about this. $12 million a year is $1 million a month. How much do you make a month? $1 million a year is $83,000 a month. And you make how much again? None of these people could take in that kind of money without you, without me, without all of our labor and efforts. This kind of income is impossible. And what's your cut? How do these millionaires show their appreciation for all you do for them in sustaining their fortunes? The reality is, they don't show you any appreciation at all. They punish you for your help, punish you with inflation, stress, insecurity, slavery, punish you through poverty and unemployment, debt, loss of identity, loss of privacy, with overflowing prisons and perpetual war. You help the elite stay rich, and they harm you for your help. Through government, business, and monetary systems forced upon us at birth by our elite, you're ruled by things that don't really exist. Psychologists have a word for such delusional thinking. It's called insanity. Insanity is defined as being out of touch with the reality of your environment. Allowing abstractions to rule you, dictate to you, to restrict you in any way is most definitely insane. In the next video, Life Experiment Part E, I'll examine just how deep this insanity goes, when I'll discuss how the Bernays effect, the Milgram's effect, and the Helsinki syndrome are applied to maintain these predonomic delusions. Please share this video and my equalism channel with as many non-predators that you can. Thanks.